Hello, welcome to Very IT. My name is Prabdeep and I'm the founder and lead instructor at Very IT. Here we're going to be covering an overview of PowerShell Core. Now what we're going to cover are 5 main different topics, namely what is PowerShell firstly, is it worth learning, the background, the version, and lastly, what is PowerShell Core. So here we're going to be covering what is Windows PowerShell. So Windows PowerShell is essentially a scripting tool that's used for automation. The good thing is you can use it as configuration management, which means you are able to perform a number of different scripts to perform certain tasks in order to achieve your objective. It was invented by Microsoft and it was proprietary to Microsoft. However, as time went on, which we'll cover, it became open source. That then meant it wasn't limited to Microsoft. Now, is Windows PowerShell worth learning? The short answer is yes. It's always going to be in demand as it is a command line script. It's integrated not only into Microsoft products, but also outside of it since it's become open source, primarily all the cloud providers. So that includes things such as AWS, Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Cloud, could be used by virtualized platforms such as VMware, as well as Azure Virtual Desktop or Citrix. Primarily, it's used by IT professionals that need to manage IT resources. And the great thing is, just with the beauty of a few scripted lines, you can streamline as well as automate manual and repetitive tasks that are subjected to human error. Say, for example, we need to update about 20,000 accounts and update their domain. That can simply be achieved through a couple of lines of PowerShell script that would save hours of work, repetitive and low-value tasks, as well as it being less likely to be subjected to any errors. Now, the background of PowerShell, what is it built upon? Well, it's built upon the .NET framework. And the great thing is it's not case sensitive. Now, there are 2 main different types of Windows PowerShell versions. So you've got Windows PowerShell as well as Windows PowerShell Core. Now, Windows PowerShell, that essentially ran from version 1.0 all the way to 5.1. And you would update it simply by doing Windows updates or by going to the WMF Windows Management Framework. Now, what you have to bear in mind is there are, for the Windows PowerShell, no feature updates. It is purely based on security updates as well as bug fixes. Moving over to the year 2018 and Windows PowerShell Core came into fruition. That's namely from version 6.0 to 7.2. It is open source, which means that not only can you use it on the Windows operating system, but you can also use it on the Mac operating system, Linux, as well as Unix, and a whole host of others as well. It's updated based on the version, and you can do it manually. The great thing is that it's also subjected to feature updates, unlike Windows PowerShell, and it also has security updates and bug fixes. Now, PowerShell Core has a number of different features you have to bear in mind. So from version 6.0 onwards, it can be used on a number of different operating systems, namely Windows, Linux, Unix, and Mac OS, and a whole host of others. It uses .NET Core technology. The path that you tend to find it is the program files PowerShell 7. But again, the version does vary depending on the year. The file path that you'll find it in is the PWSHE. So PWSHE.exe for the Windows and PWSH on Mac as well as Linux. And the addition is Core, and as mentioned before, you find it in feature updates, bug fixes, and security updates. and the interpreter is the Windows Visual Studio Core, which we'll cover in a moment.